for us, what we try to do is identify a gap. But beyond identifying this gap, is to try to find solutions. You see, when we go to communities, we try to consume them and take over their space. But for us, what we do is we respect their space, we take a hand and we give a hand, because in that community, that's their comfort zone and that's not ours. So we're actually learning from them and seeing how we can work with them, generating data, which most of you call information, to visualize to policymakers. And while creating all of this chain of reactions, in retrospect, we're actually creating jobs and we're generating revenue, but not from the private sector, from foundations and other civil society organizations, because what we've been able to do is to tell stories using this data that we've created. You would agree with me that our media houses today don't have resources to go to all the communities, but for us, we've mobilized and we've created a movement where we have representatives in major communities across the country. And these people send real-time reports on what is happening in their community. And for us, we're quite focused. We're keen on environmental issues, health, and education issues. As much as we want, and we know that other sectors are important, we only want to focus on these three sectors. And if we're able to close the gap in these sectors, then we know we can retire or die well, in the case may be. So in achieving all of this, we've been able to generate revenue, we've been able to create jobs, and beyond that, we've been able to groom leaders in these grassroots locations. It would interest you to know, since you mentioned Bagega, as a politician or a policymaker who is representing that community, you can't steal one kobo of that community, because what we have actually left with them is inculcating that knowledge for them to know that they are also taxpayers, one, and whatever is meant for them comes through these people. And we've also been able to use local languages, because I know we're speaking fancy English here, but this is not how we speak in these communities. We actually speak, in some cases, Pidgin, or local Hausa, Yoruba, or Igbo, yes, when everywhere in Nigeria. So it's to make this community also understand that you have a right to demand, and your demands are captured in some cases in the federal or state budget, which goes through either your National Assembly members or commissioners, or in some cases the minister. As of today, you can't vie for election without going to Bagega and engaging them constructively. They would reject your rice and granite oil, even if they're hungry, because we've told them that if you accept this, you're selling your life for 4 years. Meaning nothing will come to you, nothing developmental will come to you for the next 4 years. I know we went to Bagega to save 1,500 lives, but what we actually achieved was actually taking the first mobile network service to that community. Today you have MTN, Etisalat, and Globalcom. The first time we visited in 2012, there was no mobile network. So if Hamzat and Oludotun got kidnapped, that would be the end of us. Today, they had access. Now they have access road to Bagega. Bagega from Anka local government is 60 kilometers. It takes us 3 hours to travel on motorbike. No any conventional vehicle can go to that community at that time. But today they have double-lane tiled roads. Wow. In Bagega in 2012, there was no electricity or access to water. Today they have national grid connected to that community. They have access to water. And their healthcare facility, most importantly, is now refurbished with doctors and nurses. So that is one of the things we have left in this community. And as we go on, we'll share more. Thank you.
Wow. Let's put a house together for it. That's scenario one. Okay, so really, who is a social entrepreneur? We're talking about social entrepreneurship. Who is a social entrepreneur? I think I want to hear from Kiki James.
In my humble opinion, a social entrepreneur is somebody who solves social problems. Very simply. We know that an entrepreneur solves social problems. In the charity organization that I work with, we have 3 main focuses. The crux of the problems in this country are our focuses: one, education and training, economic empowerment, and affordable healthcare. in order for our country to thrive in any kind of capacity, we need to educate our youth and our children, not what to think, or how to think. For us in our organization, it's so important for us to work with the youth and the adults. We have a literacy center whereby we have libraries in public schools, libraries that have electricity, libraries that have computers that actually work, libraries that actually run by librarians that we employ. It's very important for us to have a graduate as a librarian. So what we've done is the timetable in a local school where you have maths, English, science, etc. We also have our own session, which is IT. So we're solving a problem not just by planting libraries. One of the things I personally hate the most is when people say, we donated books, we donated libraries. How do the children get to read? You donated books. Have you gone back there in 6 weeks or in 12 weeks to see if they understand how to read? Not just to read, but reading with understanding. How have you solved a social problem just by giving 1,000 books? No, you have not. You've given books for corn. That's what you've done. You've given books for them to use to go and excrete in areas where they don't have a toilet. That's essentially what you've done. So for us, you have to have problems that you want to solve sustainably. To me, that's what a social entrepreneur does. You find a problem and you solve it from beginning to the end to the next 20, 40, 50 years. Because as long as those schools are going to be existent, we will continue to have those libraries, we will continue to have those librarians, we will continue to have electricity. One of the pupils in one of our schools that we work with said she didn't want to come into the library because she was scared. Because she's been taught that libraries are for teachers, for their meetings. And if you go into the library, you want to steal a book. We all know that most of the libraries in Nigerian government schools don't really have books anyway. But if you go in there, you're a thief. And she didn't want to go in. And another one said she was so surprised that there was electricity. Apart from the fact that we've told them you will get penalized if you ever say light. We teach them there's no such thing as no light. No, electricity. So we teach them things that they need to learn in order to better themselves for the next 5 years. Now, in our library, we have children who leave government schools who are computer literate. Yes, in Nigeria, they're leaving primary 6, and they know how to use Word, Excel, and some of them know how to use PowerPoint. They know how to use computers. So to me, a social entrepreneur is somebody who doesn't just cosmetically solve a problem on the surface, but solve social problems sustainably.
Wow, wow. Please, let's put our hands together for people. So for those of us who are actually solving problems already, now we have to think if really the solutions are sustainable. That is what a social entrepreneur is. If you just told us that you must solve problems sustainably.